No airline would like to have a situation where one-third of the seats cannot be sold. So if the middle seats have to be left vacant, the airline will lose revenue. IATA, which is the representative body of 250 plus airlines, has very categorically stated that there is no fear of coronavirus spread on board a flight. One, that all passengers face in one direction, they're not facing each other. They will be essentially be asked to wear a mask. Then the backs of the various seats that you have, different rows, do not allow for free flow of air in the cabin. The air conditioning system on an aircraft is that the air comes from the top of the aircraft and comes down to the surface and then disappears. So it is not being recirculated. And then the air is sucked from the atmosphere every 2 minutes, freshened and then put into the cabin. No airline would like to have a situation where one-third of the seats cannot be sold. So if the middle seats have to be left vacant, the airline will lose revenue. So DGCA has found a way out that if the middle seats have to be occupied, protective gear could be given to the passengers. Now the question is, will passengers like to have a protective gear? Not all, probably. That the airlines must tell a passenger that I've already sold 66% of the seats on a particular flight on which you're buying a ticket. So there is a likelihood of your getting the middle seat, and therefore you will have to wear a protective gear on board the flight. So airlines have to ensure that they do not run into many complaints from passengers who are compelled to occupy the middle seat, and the cost of that inconvenience is being given to him by way of a discount. Now the gap between one seat and another is 32 inches, what we call. So this 32 inches will also not meet the norm of social distancing. The only thing it will help is that people are not touching one another. Now we mustn't rule out the possibility that irrespective of where you are, you can get infected. And the 20 odd cases that we have witnessed during the past 1 week of passengers reporting coronavirus positive, did they really get infected on board the flights? Or did they carry the infection with them when they boarded the aircraft? Are all questions in the realm of speculation, but leaving the middle seat vacant for a prolonged period of time will have a very, very negative impact on the finances of our airlines.
To expect that there would not have been any COVID cases when the flights get resumed, I don't think is a fair assessment. Some people, out of the huge lot of people traveling on board the flights, were bound to get infected, whatever be the precautions an airline may take. As it's been indicated that a lot of passengers, to escape the thermal checks, take a tablet of paracetamol, and you can really hoodwink the medical staff at the airport. So it's equally important for a passenger to be fair and to really disclose that whether he's coming from a containment zone or not, that starting from red zone to a red zone city could have been avoided. See, I don't think we need a kind of a genius to basically say that the private sector airlines were pressurizing the government. And also considering the fact that when the lockdown 4.0 was introduced, the terms and conditions are very clear that there shall be no domestic or international flights. But within 4 days of the issuance of this order, they brought in another amendment saying the domestic flight could start. When you look at all this thing together, it does indicate that there was an external pressure on the Ministry of Civil Aviation to resume flights at the earliest.
SOP was fairly meticulously done and detailed. But you can always say, why not this as well? In my opinion, a detailed analysis can be done not necessarily by the Ministry of Civil Aviation because it's an interested party, by the Health Ministry. And they could perhaps say, look, this is what we lacked or this was sufficient.
And all travel portals have given that indication that bulk of the tickets sold were one-way ticket. And it was largely from metro cities to non-metro cities. That more than 1/3 of these seats on a flight have gone unsold, clearly indicating that people are not keen on traveling at this juncture. The coronavirus fear is genuine, and as I've been saying, it's the demand destruction that is responsible for it. Unless the economic activity kickstarts, gets back, various other activities take place, only then will you have people traveling on a flight.
Number of passengers, if in the United States is only about 20 per aircraft, there is no reason why India should be hoping that our flights will be 50% or more full. So there are two ways, like everybody has done. One is to shrink your network, reduce the number of frequencies. But if you give the airlines a free hand to deploy as much capacity as they want to, then the mad scramble for garnering market share at the expense of profitability will start. And this will hasten the process of bankruptcy for the other airlines which do not have deep pockets or good cash reserves. We must remember that oil prices are global in character. It is not that the Indian government jacks it up. Now that the economic activity is on a revival path, so as a consequence of which, the oil prices have also gone up. And for the airline industry, the ATF prices have witnessed a sizable increase in the last fortnight. I must clarify that the present ATF cost is significantly lower than what it was 6 months ago. So airlines must try and ensure that they budget for the increase in ATF prices in the fare. I don't think ATF prices increase will be a major hurdle for the airline industry. Do you expect the government to subsidize? I don't think it's a feasible factor for the simple reason that if government has to subsidize air travelers, why should it not subsidize those who ride a motorcycle or a two-wheeler?